Hi there, welcome to Crafty Shenanigans. I'm Shannon Smith, and today I'm bringing you something a little bit different. We actually did a Facebook Live a week or so ago, and we were struggling with the sound. We were having some technical difficulties, and we just never quite got the sound where we wanted it. So we went ahead and edited the video and are bringing it to you on YouTube. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so I've been wanting to start a journal. I've seen a bunch of art journals, different travelers' journals, and actually I was inspired by a friend of mine, June, and I just really wanted to give it a whirl. Anyway, I bought these journals. There's a set of 6. I got them from Amazon, and they were really reasonable. I think it was like $12, something like that. Really cheap for having 6 journals in it. And I thought it was a good place to start because if I messed up, then I wouldn't feel like I was out too much. So these ones happen to be ruled, and there's 60 pages in a book. You can see the paper isn't super thick on this. In fact, what I kind of decided by the time I was done with this video is that I'll probably just end up adhering 2 pages back to back, just so that I have fewer pages, but they're a little more substantial. So I'm going to start off with my Gina K amalgam ink with my Unity stamps. This set is called Blooming Peonies, and I just love it. You'll see it's a really big stamp. It's perfect for the cover of this journal that I want to make. All right, so I'm just going to set this up on my MISTI. And the nice thing about this stamp is you don't have to use the whole thing. If you want to make a card with it, you can just have a background stamp. You can stamp it off to the side. And I think I'm going to stamp mine a little bit off to the side. I just slipped my magnet under the cover so I could keep it in place. So I'm just getting my stamp nice and inky. I want to get a nice strong image. I just wanted to go over it a couple of times just so that that's just good, solid, strong lines. Now I'm going to use my cute sentiment, which says bloom. And I used the amalgam ink for that as well. All right, now I'm ready to color this. So I'm using Arteza pencils, and the greens that I used, the lighter one is matcha and the darker one is moss, and these are just the regular colored pencils. They're not the watercolor ones. They're just the standard. And there's a lot of greenery in this stamp, so there's quite a bit to cover there. I quickly realized I needed to not color the entire image while I was live. So I started with the lighter color, I believe. Nope, I'm using the darker one there. So I wanted to get the shading in there, get the shadows, and then I worked the lighter color into it. Now I'm using white quartz, which is, as you can see, a white pencil. Starting with my lighter and working into my darker. I then went on to pink macaroon. And at this point I've decided to color just 2 flowers, I believe. I went back through and did some more of the stems. The next darkest color that I used was Peony. Looks like I'm still using pink macaroon here though. Just kind of blending it into the white quartz. The white quartz was mostly just to get a nice layer of the colored pencil onto my image. And then I had something to work with and to blend with. When I color pretty lightly because you can always add another layer. Once you start pushing hard, then it's harder to blend. And I try to do it in a circular motion so I don't leave lines. So now it looks like I moved on to the peony color, which I thought was fun that it was called peony since we were using a peony stamp. And I'm just trying to get a little bit more depth into the flowers. And again, blending it in with the pink macaroon. The deepest color of pink that I used was called Fuchsia, and you can't tell from the video, but it's actually a little more purple than it looks on the pencil. I just went ahead and did the contrast. But at this point, looks like I'm ready to move on to the inside. I'm using a different stamp set now. I'm using one by Gracielle Design and Unity. This one's called Always Growing. Okay, so I decided to use the outline stamp rather than the solid stamp on this one. It's a fun set. It does have both options. At this point, I'm just kind of playing with it, deciding where I want to put things. So now that I've got kind of a general idea, I'm gonna go for it. But because the pages are so thin, I wanted to make sure that they didn't bleed into the next page. So I did put a piece of cardstock in between the pages. And I'm gonna stamp the sentiment first. And I stamped it with a combination of colors. I'm using RG Avenue ink, and I'm using the lighter shade of green is called Tangy Apple, and the darker one is called Rich Cactus. So I stamped it in the Tangy Apple first, did the entire image, and then I came back in along the edges and did the Rich Cactus so I could get a little bit of an ombre look. And when I did my live, I talked about how there's a fear of starting a journal or starting a new sketchbook. There's it's been proven that there's a lot of people who have a fear of the blank page fear. And so I thought it was funny because you can't really see it too close in the video, but the very first, right off the bat, I stamped off the edge of my stamp a little bit, and there's a little line on the side of the G. And so I thought that was kind of awesome that it happened on the very first page so I could get over my fear and just move forward. So now I've stamped my image in Sweet Lavender. And then what I did was I stamped it again on a scratch piece of paper, and then I fussy cut it so that I could use it as a mask. Now I'm going to stamp over the top of that, and I'm going to use my darker purple, which is Tangy Grape. And now stamping my leaves using those same greens that I used earlier in the same method where I used the tangy one first, the Tangy Apple, and then the Rich Cactus. So now I pulled out my pan pastels and I used a couple of different shades of purple. I had, a really light one and then kind of a medium and a dark. And I used my yellow in the center. Just trying to get a little bit of depth out of my image. Using my greens on my leaves. And I just kind of worked around my sentiment so that I could kind of blend in and cover up my earlier mistake. Used a little of the yellow on the green leaves just to give it a little bit more brightness. And then at this point, there was so much trouble with the sound on the video. And actually, I hadn't realized how much time had passed anyway. So I went ahead and I finished everything off camera. And so here you see the pictures of what I ended up doing. I added another flower in the top hand corner. And just finished out the flowers on the front. The only thing I didn't show with the flowers on the front is I did add some accents with a white gel pen. Thank you for joining me. I hope that maybe you're inspired to start your own journal, whatever kind of journal you want to do. And like I said, mine's kind of evolving. I'm not sure what I'm doing with mine yet either. It'll be fun to kind of figure it out as I go along. And I hope that you will join me again and that you'll tell your friends about Crafty Shenanigans. Thank you so much.